vetting of the forms? And if there would be, when is it expected to be held?
So the vetting is part of the nomination process. 20th to 26th was the period for the filing of nominations. So as and when you submit your forms, you are taken through the vetting process. And in simple terms, the vetting is just a matter of scrutinizing the form to make sure that all the requirements have been met. So once we have come out with the name and the list or the number of nominated candidates, so what it means is that they've all gone through the vetting, as we call it.
Okay. Lastly, could you just highlight how far preparations are for the polls?
Yes, the polls will be on, by the law, by the time we close nomination, within 14 days after the receipt of nomination, we should be voting. So on the 9th of February, Thursday, at all the regional capitals, the voting will take place. And it is not this type of voting where every registered voter of the country has the opportunity to go and vote. This is done through the electoral college system. And by this, we mean all the assemblies, I'm talking about the municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies of the regions, are required to nominate 2 persons each to meet at the regional level to form a regional electoral college. So what we are saying is that if there are 20 assemblies in a particular region, the electoral college will be made up of 40 people, who are people who have been nominated from each of the assemblies to the regional electoral college, and they will in turn vote for the candidates at the regional level on 9th of February, and by the close of the day, we should have the regional representatives elected.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Jack Pasu. There now, to further discuss this issue, we've been joined on Skype by Dr. Edward Brenia, who's with the Department of History Political Studies at KNUST in Kumasi. Good afternoon, Dr. Brenia. We are grateful for your time this afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, now, first of all, to start off, information made available from the Electoral Commission says that the oldest among the applicants is about 84 years old, while the youngest is 23. Does this show that the youth is getting interested in this position?
Good afternoon to our able listeners. And you're right. Now we are seeing a lot more of the youth engaging in our political process. And I think that it's to extent show the level at which democracy is evolving and it's maturing, and the youth being more active in political process. So having individuals as old as 23 applying to for the position of Council of State is very interesting, and it does say well about how the youth is taking interest in our political system.
Okay, now, Dr. Brenia, some have argued that the Council of State has lost its relevance, despite the fact that it's so deeply entrenched in our Constitution. What do you make of this?
I mean, it's a chicken and egg problem. A chicken and egg problem because the notion or the concept of the Council of State is soft, if not per the partisan nature that is taken in the past, should have been relevant. But unfortunately, if you look at the way the Council of States has performed over the years, then of course you ask yourself whether the Council of State is only relevant, because it looks as if they are supposed, instead of giving an independence advice to the president, they seem to be more rather saying the things that the president wants to hear. We don't see any activism when it comes to Council of States. In areas where we expect the Council of State will act otherwise, you don't hear of them. It's only once in a while that you hear that the Council of State even does exist in situations where things become very critical. Based on that, if you're looking at the partisan nature that is taken and the lack of activism on the part of the Council of State, which deviate from the principle of the Council of State, then of course we want to say it's not relevant and probably should be scrapped off.
Okay, you're saying it probably should be scrapped off because the performance has been to please what the president wants to hear. They've not had an independent perspective. So you're saying, as a result, it should be scrapped off, in your view?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If they're not going to give independent advice and critically enable the president to take tough decisions, but rather to give the president what he wants to hear, then they're not different from the party advisors and the number of assistants that are in the president's office, and it becomes a waste of resources. However, if they want to play the role as the Constitution expects of them, then it will be relevant.
Okay, very well. Dr. Edward Brenia, we're grateful for your time this afternoon on Midday Live. Dr. Edward Brenia works with the Department of History and Political Studies at KNUST. He joined us from Kumasi. Let's look at other stories now. The Minister of Energy, Boakye Ejako, is to drag MP for Boko Central, Mahama Ayariga, to court if he fails to provide evidence that he attempted to bribe members of the vetting committee. He spoke exclusively to our presidential correspondent, Nana Kwekujiwa.
I say without the fear of contradiction, I have not given a single soul a penny. Now, if anybody can cross their hearts and say that I have given them money, let them step forward. I say so that it is not true without the fear of contradiction. But I hope you heard what was said on the floor of Parliament. It is a fabrication because the allegation is that I said Mahama was corrupt. So they have to also smear me to say that I'm corrupt and I have no right to accuse Mahama of being corrupt. If that's how we want to do our equalization fair, then we understand the rules. And then we start throwing mud at each other. I'm not afraid of mud. But if that's how we want to live our national lives, so be it. I don't believe it's the right way. But if a member of parliament is going to say, because of this, I will fabricate something against another person, so be it. We live with it.
Are you going the legal way?
Well, the lawyers are listening to the tapes and they will advise.
MP for Boko Central, Mahama Ayariga, is resolute in his claim that Minister of Energy, Boakye Ejako, attempted to bribe Parliament's appointment committee for his approval. Speaking on New Day's Saturday edition, Mahama Ayariga said each member of the minority on the committee was given 3,000 cedis to influence them in confirming Mr. Ejako.
We had a sit-in on Tuesday, if you recall, and at the end of the sit-in, we normally meet when the media leave, and then we evaluate the different nominees. During the evaluation of the nominees, some members raised the issue of our certain allowance and argued strongly that we have sat on Saturday, we have sat beyond 10 p.m. Almost every day that we vet a nominee, we sit beyond 10 p.m. And so they were demanding that the chairman ought to make arrangements for allowances to be made available to the committee members. Whereupon the chairman promised the committee that he had actually done a memo to the speaker, and so he was pushing for funds to be made available for him to give to committee members for the work that we have been doing over time. And members thanked him, and we dispersed. So whether when our chief whip, Honorable Muntaka, called us individually and told us that the chairman had brought money to be given to us, so the committee members of our side should pass by his office and take the money. And because chairman had said during committee sitting that he was working on our allowance, we all assumed that it was our allowance. So when we got to Muntaka's office individually, he gave us the 3,000 Ghana cedis. And because it was coming from Parliament, we understood it because 3,000 really is not any big money. So we took the money, and then the following day, that was on Thursday, one of our members asked Muntaka, the money that you gave us, we are hearing rumors that this money is from Boakye Ejako. The Muntaka said, no, it is the chairman who gave me. They said, no. Go and find out from the chairman where he got the money from. So Muntaka subsequently went to check from the chairman. And on Friday, yesterday, in the morning, we had our early morning meetings to prepare on how to handle the issue of the nominees, we the committee members. Some of our members were not there, but about 6-7 of us were there. So at that meeting, we raised the issue again and said, hey, the money we asked you to check where it was coming from, have you checked where it's coming from Parliament? And he said, yes, he had checked. And he had been told by the chairman that the money was from Boakye Ejako. Then we all said, no. If it is Boachi Ajako's money, we're not interested. So everybody should bring his money back. Let's give it to our chief whip. He should go back and give it to Boachi Ajako and give it to the committee chairman and tell him to send it to wherever the money came from. We are not interested in his money. So basically, those are the facts.
So the money was sent back?
I know it, and the extent that I participated, those are the facts, and I stand by these facts wherever.
We're bringing you more on that story on News 360 later tonight. You can also visit our website, 3news.com, to get more on that particular story. But let's now turn attention to other stories, still with regards to Parliament. Member of Parliament for Nsawam Aduedri, Frank Ano Dompre, has called for the implementation of the report of the Interior Ministry on the Pabo explosion at Nsawam in December 2015. The MP, in a statement on the floor of Parliament, regretted over 2,000 affected residents were yet to receive any compensations to put their lives back in shape.
On December 23, 2015, a dynamite explosion at an old quarry site at Pabo, a suburb of Nsawam Aduedri municipality in the eastern region, led to the death of 3 persons, leaving several others seriously injured. Unconfirmed reports indicated that there was a dump container believed to contain some leftover dynamite, which was used for blasting stones at the old quarry site, and the explosion was triggered by a hunter who reportedly lit a fire near the container. Making a statement on the floor of Parliament, MP for the area, Frank Ano Dompre, was worried the report on the findings and recommendations submitted to the Interior Ministry was yet to be implemented.
As part of measures to ensure that we institute or employ preventive measures to avoid similar occurrences in the future, I urge that the report that was released by the Interior Ministry in respect of the Pabo disaster, which was not implemented by the recent past government, be implemented as soon as practicable.
He was worried the over 500 displaced residents were yet to receive compensations after losing their property worth over 500,000 cedis. Other members expressed the need for stringent measures to forestall future occurrences.
Mr. Speaker, I think institutions have been mandated to play specific role, including geological services, and we are expecting them to be furnishing us with more precise information about the likely location of earthquake for long-term government planning. We will please plead with this committee, Honorable Mr. Speaker, to let them implement whatever recommendations that were made so that our people who were affected will be relieved of the suffering.
The committee did its work and came out with recommendations that we thought needed the input of the Attorney General's outfit, because there were issues of compensation arising from the committee's work. And so we duly submitted the committee's report to the Attorney General's outfit for their input before implementation. Right, Honorable Speaker, this was where we got to before we exited office.
Others wanted regulations on the siting of filling stations enforced.
The EPA need to step up and then to make sure that there is normally very serious caretaking as to where gas stations or filling stations are sited.
The last Parliament passed the NADMO Act, and it is now in force. Mr. Speaker, this country is noted of having many laws on its shelves, but when it comes to enforcement and implementation, that is where we have our struggles.
We need to redefine how to compensate for these disasters. When you go and visit a person with a pillow and a mattress and then a mat, then you say the person has been assisted. We must be assisting people to rehabilitate them well, in order that we want to go to their status before they were affected by the disaster.
Meanwhile, the House has adopted the report of the Committee of Selection on the composition of the other standing and select committees.
Still on Parliament, the Confederation of Governance Assessment Institute has named the Member of Parliament for the Usutifi South and former local government minister Alhaji Collins Dauda as the most dedicated communal servant of Ghana for 2016. The Osajifo Pan-African Eminence Award presented to the Member of Parliament aims at rewarding exemplary public sector workers as a motivation for others.
Presenting the award to the Member of Parliament at the Job 600, President of the Confederation of Governance Assessment Institute, Dr. Edward Brenya, explained he was selected after over a year of extensive research and analysis of data from his constituents.
They have nominated individuals. It came to the executive board where we assessed the criteria, sent people back to go and do verification, and based on the evidence that are offered, decide on the final person to win the award. One of the things that eventually led to your selection as the winner was the fact that you had two constituencies. One is your constituency that elected you into Parliament, and the second constituency is that you serve indirectly by the President's appointment to serve as a minister. And we realized that for both of them, you have diligently and dedicatedly served your people.
The member for Usutifi South, Alhaji Collins Dauda, was elated with the award, saying it has motivated and challenged him to do more, even in opposition.
I also thank the presidents who made me their minister, and also thank the people of Usutifi South for always electing me as their Member of Parliament. I cherish this so much.
The former local government minister has been the MP for Usutifi South since 1992. He has served as the Minister for Land and Natural Resources and Transport under President Mills and Water Resources under ex-President Mahamad's administration.
President Akufo-Addo has charged government officials to serve with honesty, dignity and integrity to the satisfaction of Ghanaians. Swearing in the first batch of ministers designate at the Flagstaff House on Friday, the president asked them to protect the public purse.
I do in the name of the Almighty God swear. The people have elected us to respond to this demand for change and provide leadership that will ensure that it benefits the progress of our nation and helps raise the living standards of our people. We are required to fulfill
Still watching Midday Live. Return with more news after this.
It will ensure that it's
Welcome back to Midday Live. Before we turn our attention to business, let's bring you the full speech delivered by President Akufo-Addo when he charged government officials to serve with honesty, dignity and integrity to the satisfaction of Ghanaians. It was at the swearing-in of the first batch of ministers-designate at the Flagstaff House on Friday when the President asked them to protect the public purse.
The people have elected us to respond to this demand for change and provide leadership that will ensure that it benefits the progress of our nation and helps raise the living standards of our people. We are required to fulfill the commitments that will ensure that it benefits the progress of our nation and helps raise the living standards of our people. We are required to fulfill the commitments of our mandate, and I am certain that with God's guidance, sincerity of purpose, integrity of character, hard work and genuine collaboration, together we shall deliver and honor these commitments. Honorable Ministers, as you know, the issue of corruption in public life was a major topic in the 2016 elections. The Ghanaian people want honest government. They want government that will protect the public purse and ensure value for money in all public transactions. We cannot fail them. We must not fail them.
Honorable Alan Kojo Chamantin, Minister for Trade and Industry. Honorable Ken Oforiatta, Minister of Finance.
Let's now take a look at the very latest from the world of business. Latest data released by the Bank of Ghana earnings from the exports of gold, cocoa and crude oil for 2016 went up marginally compared to what it got in 2015. It reached $11 billion, which is higher than the $10.3 billion secured in 2015. According to the data, gold brought in some $4.9 billion, which is higher than the $3.2 billion in 2015. Cocoa contribution to the national purse saw a decline of $2.7 billion in 2015. Earnings from crude oil dropped from $1.9 billion to $1.4 billion as at the end of December 2016. The Chief Executive Officer of Bui Power Authority, Jabesh Amisa Arthur, has relinquished his post following a change of government. In a January 25 memo to the staff of Bui Power Authority, the CEO served notice he will be starting his terminal leave on Friday, January 27. That's all we have for you from the world of business. But for more business news, visit our website, 3news.com. We are back with the very latest from the world of sports shortly.
It's Talented Kids Season 8. If you know you've got the skills and talent to become Ghana's next star, then this is the competition for you. You stand the chance of winning 10,000 Ghana cedis and a 6,000 Ghana cedi educational fund. Auditions begin on 28th January 2017 at Connect FM Paipano Takrady, and then on 31st January 2017 at TV3 offices at Sokwa opposite the new mall being built, and on the 3rd and 4th of February 2017 at TV3 studios at this away. Time for all auditions is 9 a.m. sharp. Registration and admission is free. Come witness the brightest and the most gifted children display their talents on stage. Talented kids, free to play.
Instead of trying to point the finger as to who caused them, would rather sit down and do an introspective review of what they have become. The NDC is no longer the party of integrity, justice, and probity. That is not the NDC that we witnessed over the past 4 years. I wish the NDC would become a grassroots party, a party that people who ordinarily wouldn't have any say in politics can use as an avenue to become somebody. I respect the NDC for what it stands for, but not what it has become today.
You see the same thing in the NPP as a party for the grassroots?
NPP, based on the last election.
Encerrada en un mundo de cristal.
Venga para acá. Te ves guapísima.
¿Qué está haciendo?
No lo sé.
A young, beautiful, and wealthy woman falls for a hitman, but later discovers that the love of her life and her own family belongs to one Mexico's most powerful drug cartel. Miss Dynamite premieres on the 2nd of February 2017 at 9 p.m. right here on TV3.
This is a warning to all the bad men out the road. Sex a diva, me I bring the fever, you better know. Well, yeah.
A new tune for the girl, another new dance anthem. Can dance Shakira Kaida, from Lagos burn to Ashiyama. Polo swag and a chick.
When my people see me, then they holler.
Shabba, 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 shabba.
Now dance to the beat.
Keep it locked to GH Flavor. I'm Adam, aka Go Get 'em, aka Special Delivery. Let's go.
GH Flavor, Thursdays at 4 p.m. only on TV3.
TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
Welcome back to Midday Live. It's now time for the very latest in sports with Nana Kojo-Afre, who joins us now. How are you?
Natalie, I'm doing very good, and you too?
I'm well, thank you. But before you start off, I must say, for us tennis lovers out there, it was very interesting to see.
Are you a Venus fan?
I'm Serena. I think I'm along the Serena line.
Wow, then it's good news for
yes,
you, for the fact that she beat her sister in the Australian Open final to win her 23rd, Grand Slam Open Championship, and that is a remarkable feat. For her, and she equals she goes past Afi Graffi's record, so it's good for her. But anytime the Williams sisters are playing, it's very exciting to watch. But later that will be on Sunday anyway. We'll see Nadal and Roger Federer also play in the men's final, so that should be also interesting as well. So we'll bring you the details of all the sports news we have for you. Stay tuned. Thanks very much for staying with us here on Midday Live. My name is Nana Kojo-Afre with the sports updates. Let's begin from the AFCON 2017 quarterfinals, because with some mouth-watering clashes and the last 8 of the AFCON, including Senegal versus Cameroon and Egypt versus Morocco, we'll bring you a preview of all the games coming up this weekend.
With the group stages of the African Cup of Nations complete, it's down to the final 8 teams to compete for the title. The first round saw host Gabon, as well as 2 of the tournament's favourites, Ivory Coast and Algeria, eliminated, which leaves the competition extremely open. Burkina Faso made a slow start to the tournament, going behind to Cameroon in the first half of the first game, but since halftime in that game, they've looked to be back to their best. Unlucky only to draw against the host, they eased past Guinea-Bissau to top Group A. Their opponents, Tunisia, have been surprisingly good in this tournament so far, playing far more positively than we are accustomed to seeing from the Carthage Eagles. Wabi Kazri has been a revelation, and their win over Algeria was one of the most impressive performances in the tournament. They are the competition's joint top scorer so far. Charles Kabore anchors the Burkinabe midfield brilliantly, and it will be interesting to see how he copes with the informed Kazri. Chelsea's perennial loanee, Bertrand Traoré, is a key man going forward for Burkina. Senegal have been the best team of the tournament so far, fluent in attack and solid in defense, at least until they rested 10 players having already qualified. With Sadio Mane in form and a solid midfield behind him, they are now favourites. Cameroon are impressing with what is probably their weakest squad for a decade. They should have beaten Burkina Faso in their opener, came from behind to beat Guinea-Bissau, and were the better team against Gabon despite only needing a point. Senegal have all the big names. Their 2 wingers, Balde Keita and Mane, are the real threats. Mame Biram Diop, playing between them, has had countless chances and must surely start scoring at some point. Cameroon lacks much star quality, but captain Benjamin Mukanjo has impressed up front, and Christian Basogok has probably been their best player from the right wing. 2 of the best teams in the group stages. DR Congo are perhaps the surprise package, building on a lucky win in their first game to put Ivory Coast out and thrashed Togo in the final fixture. They have scored goals and looked solid in defense, while playing some of the most exciting football in the competition. Ghana are yet to string a full 90-minute performance together, but their first half against Mali was as good as anything we've seen. Asamoah Gyan's fitness is a concern, but the 2015 finalists look capable of repeating their effort. Junior Kabananga is the tournament's top scorer, and so far, the standout star. The only player close to challenging him in terms of performances is Ghana's Christian Atsu, player of the tournament in 2015. Ghana have more star quality, but Fulham's Niskins Kabano has shown for DR Congo and is one to keep an eye on. Egypt top Group D by beating Ghana in their final game, but are yet to really get into their stride. Hampered by a dreadful surface, Mohamed Salah hasn't been able to show his brilliance, although he has provided a goal and assist for Egypt's 2 strikes so far. They haven't conceded a single goal. Morocco were hugely unlucky to lose against DR Congo and have won both their other games. Hervé Renard, who has a remarkable record at the African Cup of Nations, is once again getting a mediocre team to play far beyond its natural capabilities. Salah is the key for Egypt, with Arsenal's Mohamed El Neni marshalling the midfield. However, defensively, it's also worth keeping an eye out on Ali Gaber and Ahmed Hegazi, an excellent central defensive partnership, and veteran goalkeeper Essam El Hadari, the oldest ever AFCON player. Morocco are more about a system than star quality, but Mbag Boussafa has a good record, and Rashid Aloui has scored arguably the best goal of the tournament so far.
To the studio, Avram Grant held a press conference ahead of Ghana's game against DR Congo and has said that Captain Asamoah Gyan said that the training later today in OEM will determine if Captain Asamoah Gyan will be fit for the game against DR Congo. We're keeping tabs of that and we'll bring you details when they do come in. Meanwhile, in England, Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger has been given a 4-match touchline ban and £25,000 fine after accepting a Football Association charge of misconduct for his behavior in their win over Burnley. Wenger was charged with verbally abusing and pushing fourth official Anthony Taylor after being sent off. His ban starts immediately, so he misses today's FA Cup game at Southampton. If that tie needs a replay, Wenger will return to the Premier League game against Hull on February 11. However, if the match is settled on Saturday, the Hull game will be the 4th and final one for which the Frenchman is banned following Premier League games against Watford and Chelsea. So there are no English Premier League games today, but the FA Cup will be happening. Let's bring you fixtures from the FA Cup as they do happen. So very shortly on your screens, you see the fixtures of the FA Cup. We'll run you through them and which fixtures to expect. So there you have it on your screen. Liverpool are up against Wolverhampton. Chelsea will take on Brentford. Crystal Palace up against Manchester City. Middlesbrough will take on Accrington Stanley. Oxford United up against Newcastle United. Tottenham Hotspurs will take on Wycombe Wanderers, and then Southampton are up against Arsenal. Let's bring you some updates from the world of tennis, where Serena Williams beat sister Venus in straight sets to win her 7th Australian Open and an Open era record of 23 Grand Slam singles title. Serena won 6-4, 6-4 to pass Steffi Graf in the all-time list of major winners since the Grand Slams accepted professional players in 1968. The American regains the #1 ranking from German Angelique Kerber. Australia's Margaret Court, with 24, is the only player still ahead of Serena in terms of Grand Slam singles titles. Meanwhile, in the men's singles, Rafael Nadal has set up a much-anticipated Australian Open final against old rival Roger Federer with an epic 5-set semi-final win over Grigor Dimitrov. The Spaniard won 3-2 in almost 5 hours to reach a first Grand Slam final since 2014. Dimitrov's wait to reach a maiden Slam final continues after Nadal inflicted his first defeat of the year. Nadal, who is attempting to win his 15th major title, will face Swiss rival Federer in Melbourne on Sunday. Let's do some boxing. And former two-time IBF bantamweight world champion Joseph "The Fresh King" Agbeko will return to the ring on February 4th. The boxer, who is struggling to regain his lost glory, is billed to take on highly rated Kid Gunhand on the undercard of the Eubank Jr. versus Querlin clash at the Olympia, London. Agbeko, also a former IBO Super Bantamweight champion, is looking to set up a possible shot at the World Championship again with victory over the Qatari-born Galahad. It certainly won't come easy, though, against 26-year-old Kid Galahad, who has already started talking about becoming the latest world champion to emerge from his hometown of Qatar. That's all the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Nana Kojafer. But remember that the quarter-final games of the AFCON 2017 is live here on TV3. Our build-up starts today at 3 p.m. Join Ella Amanda and the rest of the team for the quarter-final games in the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Gabon. Always a pleasure serving you. Good afternoon.
It's Talented Kids Season 8. If you know you've got the skills and talent to become Ghana's next star,
Welcome back to Midday Live. Let's now take a look at news from the world of entertainment.
Even though the Ghana Music Award scheme has awarded many gospel artists over the years in various categories, some of them prefer a separate award scheme for the gospel fraternity. Band-captain musician Abner Rufi, who has been in the news recently for various reasons, believes a separate award scheme for gospel artists only will help project their works more.
The lovers of gospel should also come up with some awards that will help gospel music come up well. We realize that the slots that gospel has on that award scheme is, quite insignificant. I believe that if we as lovers of gospel, if we as lovers of God's work come together and then put together some very good award scheme that will reflect the kingdom, we will be able to push our own.
As a new entrant, she believes gospel music has seen major improvements, especially in composition and videos. The Higher composer also said her music had a fusion of highlife, Afrobeat, pop and other genres of music.
Let's wrap up with President Donald Trump of the United States, who's banned the entry of Syrian refugees into the United States until further notice. We have more on this on our website, 3news.com. I'm Natalie Fort. From myself and the entire Midday team, thank you so much for watching. For more, tune into your FM 95.1 or 3FM 92.7. Thank you.